All right. So this one is mostly for me, but other people might find it helpful too. So, anyways, this is a big week for me. My first child's due, and I also have two assessments due. One of these things is obviously much bigger than the other ones. However, I'm going to whinge about the assessments, and basically the motivation behind even returning to university. So, I, like many people who entered into university in the 2010s era, I was told when I was very young that there would be a massive shortage and a massive need for people trained with medical knowledge, people trained in medical science, the medical support fields. And there is a huge shortage of staff, and that shortage is essentially staff to change elderly people's diapers. It's not a shortage in medical researchers. In fact, what we found is almost all of those jobs are super saturated. There is very little room in the employment market for that type of work, unless you're willing to go to India or maybe the US and compete on an international scale. Now, for reference, my cohort, as in the people who graduated this semester, I graduated from the university that I graduated, and we were doing double degrees. So, like, people within my field, the people with my exact qualification from the exact place that I got it at the exact day that I got it, that cohort was around 300. Okay? Medical science, biomedical science, molecular biology, genetics, all of those fields, every university runs multiple groups through those courses every semester, okay? It is not a unique field. I applied for one job, there was 11,000 applicants, okay? Like, this is not a thing that the workforce is oversaturated in that area. And turns out the reason it was oversaturated was because government actively told us all to pursue those careers. And, the culture was like, oh, if you go into science, in science, you'll make money. Universities love this. It wasn't until my last semester that we had essentially, it was a unit built around finding work. And in that unit, they told us all, look, you can go on to do your masters, but really, the job market doesn't exist. And that's something that, we all discovered in the year after graduating, that we all spent trying to find work. The government brought in Certificate 2 slightly before I'd graduated, so you couldn't even get a laboratory assistant position because all of the laboratory providers were also the training providers for this new Certificate 2, which meant they would ask you to pay them to do their course, to maybe audition, to get a job that you've just done a 3 and a bit year degree to be qualified for. It's not a bright future out there for anyone who's graduated university since 2010, maybe even earlier. All right? But that's the thing. For me, I got a bit lucky. I kind of stumbled my way through the pandemic and into, FIFO work, like many Australians. FIFO work is good. All right, don't get me wrong. If you're like an 18-year-old dude, I strongly recommend get your apprenticeship with a mine site, go through, become a sparky, become whatever, and you're earning mine site money as an apprentice. They pay for your food, they pay for your housing, at least for half the year. It's brilliant. It's a good time. You will be served extremely well. But that's the thing. I'm having a child now. I'm a fully fledged adult. I cannot afford to work on a mine site. The social cost of it is just too high. All right. For those of you, by the way, who are not Australian, FIFO is where we generally, Australian men, more often than not, although there's been a big push for women, we will leave our families for several weeks at a time and go to a workplace. That workplace essentially tells you what to wear, what to eat, and when to go to bed. You work 12-hour shifts for up to, like, some dudes do 3 months on, for however long you're on swing, and then you come back home. It takes you like 4 days to recover because you're on a mine site schedule. And then you're home for however long you're home for. And turns out the only people who have the Wednesday at lunchtime off, well, wouldn't you know, are all the same people you spend with at the mine site. So essentially, your work becomes your life. Okay, it does pay well though, so that's a big plus. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you got mine site money, you're lucky. And it's like, it's not that much money when you think about what you're sacrificing. What you're sacrificing is time with your family. What you're sacrificing is the opportunity to better yourself in any way. And so this brings me to my return to university, because I really wanted to make this one to like highlight to myself why I'm doing this, because frankly, these assessments are frustrating me. Not because they're hard, but because I ideologically disagree. Right now, we're discussing identity. Identity is a big thing in education. You know, identity was definitely the causal factor in the summer of love. And we've recently seen a little bit of a who can spend the most money on their tribal group, what with a recent murder and then a subsequent yelling at a child in the USA. And the thing is, for me, my identity has always really been just a chill dude. I'm just a dude, man. I don't want to think about these things. Fundamentally, what I want is to promote human flourishing. I want to promote what's good for the people, or, you know, whatever. The thing is like this unit, these assessments, they really require you to adopt a humanist and sort of liberal perspective that I just don't have in my heart. So I need to remind myself why I'm doing this. And I am doing this because 1 in 5 Australians work for the government. Almost, like, 1 in 5 work for the government directly. 1 in 5 are on government handouts. And currently, I occupy the 60% of people who do not directly receive money from the government. I've been a government contractor before, which I guess is like indirectly working for the government. Essentially what I'm saying is the gross majority of people in this country, the gross majority of jobs that do not require you leaving your family for long periods of time, well, they're working for the cathedral. And so I've returned to university to do my master's in education. And I've discovered that almost all of my cohort have the same degree as I do. We all graduated from a science course. We all graduated from some type of medical science, realized that we were lied to. And because we don't know anything else, because we went from high school to university, and then we wandered the wilderness during COVID, we've returned. We've returned like the prodigal sons that we are. Understanding now that the only pathway forward is for us to become part of the cathedral. And I get the feeling this is an ideological conflict that almost everyone of my persuasion who has had to return is experiencing. So for me, I'm there because I have a child. Now, I can't justify being away for like weeks or months at a time to make money and not being able to develop skills or spend time with my family or even develop social connections that are necessary to build anything that is worthwhile in the world. And I just need to remind myself of that. I need to remind myself of why I'm doing this. All right, peace out, everybody.